All right, so tonight I want to get into the teaching because I want to talk about making splits because we are getting at a time of the year where we have to start thinking about making splits. Hopefully, we've all done really well. This is a fantastic year for me. I've had a 100% survival rate of all my bees this year, and they're not just surviving, they are crazy thriving. It's insane. So I will be making some splits, but it's way too early. Can't do it yet. So real quickly, before we get into splits, some tips on spring management. I like feeding my bees 1-to-1. I add Honeybee Healthy, Amino Bee Booster, a little protein in there. You know, I've talked about that many times. That's what I did today. I mixed all that up, and then I gave it to my bees 1-to-1. And this is to stimulate brood production. They're gathering water. They're gathering, I'm putting out dry pollen, as you see in the background of my image here. They are doing exactly that. I got dry enough today where I put some out there. And so that means they're building up brood. They're turning that into bee bread really fast for the nurse bees to raise brood. So I'm assisting them by giving them that 1-to-1 sugar water. I used to use pollen patties. Some of you probably still do. My problem was the small hive beetle loved to get up there and lay eggs. So I would rather put my protein supplement in my sugar water, keep the beetles away from it. And then some people ask me, well, David, when do I stop feeding my bees? I get that question asked a lot, and it's very easy. Always remember this. Let the bees tell you. Most colonies will stop eating or drastically slow down eating your sugar water when real nectar is out there. And let's all remember, the best thing for bees is real nectar and real pollen, okay? We do have to supplement it sometimes, but it's not as good as Mother Nature provides for our honeybees, not at all. So keep that in mind. All right, I like to feed from the top. So today I was putting my top feeders on. Many of you have purchased these from us. It's a great time of the year to get these in stock. They're screened, so I can easily go out there now and just fill up a jar, put it back on, and bees are not coming out. They're under the screen. And entrance feeders, I think, are very ineffective in cool weather because, you know, they're out there in front, and we still have cool weather coming. You know, believe it or not, here in Illinois, we'll have cold days. And so we're not out of the woods yet. It's only March, first part of March. I once had a class, I don't know what kind of class it was, here in the middle of March, had about, I don't know, 20 or so people in the class on the property before COVID. And it started snowing in the morning. It didn't stop, and it snowed many of the students in. I had a bobcat with a plow on it. We couldn't even use it to get out. So we're not out of the woods yet. So sometimes an entrance feeder is outside the hive and it gets too cold. So I like the top feeder above the brood area, above the cluster if it does get cold. So that's what I love doing. Pollen is protein to the bees. And that, like I said earlier, and as you can see in the background image, these are honeybees trying to get that protein supplement, pollen supplement, carried back to the hive. And then they can add enzymes to it, and it begins to ferment quickly. And then they can use it for bee bread. And then they can feed it, raise young larvae. They actually will ingest it and turn that into royal jelly. And that's what all young larvae 1 to 3 days old will eat, because all this activates the hypopharyngeal glands of the nurse bees so they can make that royal jelly. Nurse bees are usually between the ages of 5 and 12 days old. 1 to 3 day old larvae, they all eat royal jelly. And if you get older than 3 days as a larvae, you start eating more brood jelly or worker jelly, worker food, a little bit different mixture. All right, so let's talk about some spring splits. You got to be excited. I heard spring birds chirping today, and it sounded so good. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I want to talk about when to split. You know, what's the timing of splits? By the way, a split, for those of you that are brand new, is just that. It's trying to divide the hive so it doesn't overcrowd. So make 2 hives out of 1, sort of. And then I'm going to talk about real briefly. I'll talk about a couple of different methods that we can use to split hives. And then we'll talk about feeding splits, queens and splits, how many times you can split, and testing and treating for mites in a split. So let's jump right into it. What's the timing of a split? Well, when it's warm enough to support a split. Let me remind you, I have told you before that I made some splits one year too early. It got cold, and all my little splits, my 4 frames of bees, wasn't enough to sustain themselves in a real cold snap. So be careful to not jump the gun too early, because a big hive that you're splitting is a lot of bees. They can stay warm. But when you split them, you're dividing up in half or more the heater, so the bees can't stay warm. So be careful not to jump in there too early. You're wanting, I know you're wanting a temperature, you're wanting an answer that's specific, and I can't predict the weather like that. Let me just say, I don't like it to drop much below 40 degrees Fahrenheit if I've made splits. I don't like it to get too close to freezing. It'll be okay, but they're better if it doesn't drop below 40. And then the timing is all about making the split prior to your parent colony swarming, right? So if the main hive that overwintered, if it swarms, they've already made their split, and you lose half your bees. So it's hard to make a split off of a hive that has naturally already split. So you want to catch it early. The only way to know that is by going out there on warmer days, do an inspection, look for swarm cells. It takes a little work to make the bees go around, doesn't it? Yeah. So some split methods that you may have heard of. There's the walk away split. There's a tearing off split. There's the flyback split. There's a Demari split. It's not really a split, but it's swarm control. And then there's the double screen board swarm control too. These are some of the more, I guess, talked about ways. There are many other ways to do it. Oh my goodness. For every beekeeper, there's probably a particular way to make a split. Briefly, a walkaway split means you take some bees, some boxes. If you have 2 deeps, you can take 1 deep off, walk away with it, or you can pull some frames out, walk away with them. You're walking away with a good number of bees, brood, resources, the queen or not the queen, but at least eggs, and you're dividing off the colony by walking away with some of it. And then the tearing off is when you shake all the bees out onto a board, like a ramp leading up to the bottom board. You shake them all. It's time consuming and it's intimidating. There's a ladybug in my hair. And so what happens is, if they are in a swarm mode and you shake every bee off onto a large ramp, maybe about 2 to 3 feet length, leading up to the bottom board, then what happens, all the bees that are not wanting to swarm will go inside the hive, and the bees that want to swarm, the swarm bees, will collect usually and hang on the bottom of that ramp. It's amazing. Timing is important, and I've done it once, and it was very intimidating because you're shaking 40 or 50,000 bees in the air. It's loud, and if they're not nice, it's intimidating. Flyback is similar to a walk away, but what you're doing, you're kind of taking brood out and putting them into a lot of the brood and resources into a box, and you're walking away with it. And then you're putting kind of either an empty box where the original hive was, and you're letting the foragers fly back to the new box, and you've taken the queen off to an older box, or you've left the queen. There's a lot of variations to a flyback. But, I watched a YouTube video of a person make a split, and I forget the name of it. It had, everything has a name, but it was just kind of what we've been talking about. And the bees were so defensive. And he was just standing there, and the way that he did it was, I thought, extremely, I don't know what to call it. It was very, not complicated, but intense. There you go. That's the word. It was very intense. Bees were all over the place. They were not happy, and he was manipulating so many frames, and it was very complicated. So I think the demarré method is equally complicated for new beekeepers. It works if you love to go in there and manipulate a lot of frames. I have a whole video on that, by the way. The double screen board is similar. A lot of people will separate their deeps with a double screen board to control swarms. And but I guess the easiest thing for me to say right now is I'm David Burns, and I like to keep things simple. I also want you to know that in no way do I ever think you should do it my way. I don't believe my way is a highway. I love it when everybody has different ideas and they want to try things their own way. We should be very open-minded and not ever make people feel like they need to do it our way or the club's way, okay? Everybody's entitled to their own beekeeping techniques because they've decided to be a beekeeper. Let's don't force our opinions on others. Let them decide what they like best. So I like best is simple. And I think most people like simple things, you know? Life is challenging enough. Okay, so what I do to make a split, I just simply go out to a very strong colony, overwintered well, and I will treat it for mites first. I'll talk about that in a minute. So I want the treatment to be under control, the mite controls, before I make the split. Because if I don't, I've got 2 hives I have to treat now. Keep them together, I just got 1. So I like to treat, get mite levels low, and then when all looks good, weather's good, mite control is good, I'll make a split. And I take 4 frames out, and those 4 frames are kind of like a little nucleus. They have a variety of resources. They have a variety of brood, eggs, larvae, pupae, nectar, bee bread, honey, pollen, and then those 4 frames have a mixture of all of that. And I move them on the property somewhere, and I put something large in front of them so the foragers take a new orientation flight, and I'm in business. Back home in the parent colony, without the queen, I always move the queen away from the hive because without the queen, they can't swarm. So the parent colony becomes queenless. I put 4 new frames for them to draw out for me. That's cool. New wax. And then they will raise a new queen in 30 days. Now, in 30 days, I got to be careful again. I got to watch it. If I'm still in swarm season, they could swarm. They could still want to swarm. Even though I split them once, sometimes I have to split them twice to give me that buffer, I guess. Okay, that's the way that I do it because that's just the easiest way in the world to do it, that I can never do anything else because I like it simple, fast, and easy. And that works for me. Now, I feed my splits generally, unless I'm doing it and there is an abundance of nectar. I mean, if it's just pouring in the front door, I don't necessarily have to feed them. But here's the thing. Sometimes in the spring, we get a lot of rain. And if my little hives out there, my splits only got 4 frames and they're pulling out more wax, it doesn't hurt me to go ahead and feed them. I don't have any supers on them, and I want more frames pulled out. Feeding helps them to draw more frames out. And so that's something you probably ought to consider is feeding your splits, keep them going there. There goes a beetle across the camera. Okay, so what about queens and split? Does the queen really have to go with the split, or can she stay in the parent hive? She can stay in the parent hive, but here's the deal. Swarming is a real reproductive instinct. As long as she's in there and there's bees in there, they can swarm, start raising swarm cells any day because she's laying eggs. So you really don't have any kind of way of stopping that. I mean, even if you took 4 frames out and made them draw 4 more frames, it might slow them down, but I don't think it's going to. They're going to really be ready to swarm. So I always like taking the queen, but I hear other people say they like to leave the original queen in there, but I like taking her. Now, if you do take one and you don't want to wait 30 days, and I would say it's probably not the best plan to wait 30 days because you're out, a lot of brood during that while they raise a new queen. But if you want to let them raise a queen, you are going to be out about 3 or 4 weeks from any brood. And, that's a lot, actually. If they lay 1,000 eggs a day, you're out half a package, 4,000 bees. So you might consider timing it where you can buy a queen or raise your own queen and put your queens in your splits or back in the mother hive, the parent hive, so they never go queenless. You'll have to introduce them with some candy, like a queen cage with candy. Can't just throw it in there. Well, how many splits can you make out of a strong overwintered colony? A split, that you make a split, it will suspend swarming, like I said, for about 30 days. But as soon as they raise their own another queen and she starts laying again, they're going to be in swarm mode again. But usually I've found that my strong overwinter colonies easily can make 2 splits and sometimes 4 over the course of a couple of months. And so you just have to keep your eye on that. And I know some of you, I hear some of you saying, what if I don't want a whole much more beehives? Well, go ahead and make the splits and then give those to somebody that wants more bees. Give them a nucleus of 4 frames. That'll help you out and help them out too. Yep. All right. We're talking about spring splits tonight. Now let's talk about mites and splits. I get this question asked a lot. Is it better to treat for mites after I make the split or before I make the split? And I don't think it matters a ton. It really doesn't. Mites are mites, bees are bees in boxes. But it's just easier for me to go behind my big hives and zap them, with a oxalic acid vaporizer. And then, once I get their mite levels down, it's easy to do that. Now I can make a split. But if I make splits out of my hives, I've doubled my hives. Now I have to double my treatment, right? I have to treat twice as many hives. Again, I'm David Burns and I keep it easy. So, if I can only treat half of the hives prior to the split, I only have to do half and not twice as much, right? So that's just the way I do it, but you can do it the way you want to. The other thing is, it's kind of like you have to calculate a little differently when you have a little 4-frame nucleus. If you want to treat it for mites, most of our mite treatments talk about 8 frames or 10 frames of brood, and now you've only got 2 and you don't know how to calculate and treat according to that. So I don't want to have to figure all that out. Yeah. Okay, well, that's the splits, and we have a word of the live stream. By the way, some of you didn't get the message that we postponed the live stream last Thursday. Remember, you can always go to honeybeesonline.com/live. That, and I put that link in the comments, but that is a website. That's a web page for you guys to watch all the time to see what's coming up next. And if there's a cancellation or something, you can always check the website, honeybeesonline.com/live. Okay. And that way you'll know if I have to cancel sometimes. But yeah, so also on that page, there's a link to all the words that we have had on the live stream for over a year now. So every live stream, I give you a little word that's kind of a little bit more than a beginner level word. And these words are nice. So you can go back to that website, honeybeesonline.com/live, and you can look at these words. I post them after we talk about them. And the word today is spiracle, spiracles. A spiracle for honeybees is that small external opening along the side of the bee's body. It covers the thorax and the abdomen, and it allows air to enter the respiratory system of the honeybee, spiracle. Now, there are 10 pair of spiracles on the honeybee, 10 per side. So that makes 20 holes the bees have. Wow, did you know that? They don't have lungs, but they push and pull air out through these spiracles. Now, one of the things, if you don't know about me, I love to doodle, I love to draw. And so I see if this shows up where you can see what I'm talking about. But so I did this a month ago when I was studying spiracles on my own. I do a lot of bee studies on my own, and there's where they are. There's 3 on the thorax and 7 along the abdomen. And anyway, they're you really can't see them. I know sometimes if you get a microscope, you can see them. But the funny thing is, let me go to my next slide that I drew. Apologize for the rough drawing I drew here. I did this a long time ago. I wasn't intending for anybody to see it. It's just so that I can stay fresh on bee anatomy. But you can see here the spiracle. It has this harder type material on the end of it, the opening of it. I believe it's called chitin. And that material, it actually opens and closes. And so the bees can actually regulate the air, the carbon dioxide that's going out and the oxygen that's coming in. They can regulate that because sometimes they lose too much moisture if they keep those things wide open. So they have to regulate all that. And all that's connected to the tracheals and the air branches of air tubes that go through the bee. But that's what the spiracles look like. That's the spiracles. Yeah. There you go. There's a new word for you if you don't know it. Spiracles, breathing holes along the side of the bees. All right. All right. Very good. Well, I think it's time for us to have our first giveaway for our first responders and veterans that a great member of the Beak Squad has donated 2 5-frame nucleus with bees. And remember, you have to come here and pick them up. And you send in your applications. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your work that you do for all of us. We appreciate that so much. Definitely do. My middle son is a Marine. Went on some combat missions overseas, and that's when my hair turned gray. And so we know a little bit about what it's like. So, okay, so let's go ahead. I got all your names in here. I'm going to shuffle them up here. And they're folded just right where I can't see. All right. See if I can read Sherry's writing. All right. The first winner of the 5-frame nucleus for the first responders and veterans is Dan. And the last name starts with the letter M for confidentiality. Dan M. You're the winner. I believe we'll be contacting you soon, so there's no need for you to email us or anything like our giveaways normally do. So congratulations, Dan. We look forward to meeting you when you come and pick up your nuke and everything. And thanks for being part of the live stream. Congratulations, by the way. All right. Very good. Let's get into some questions and answer time. It's 7:30. I like to always answer questions about this time because I know some of you may have a lot of questions. You probably have 2 weeks of questions. Let me wet my whistle. David, after you make a spring split, how long do you feed for? I have a kind of an idea that I like to shoot for. Not perfect at it. As long as they're drawing out new foundation, Gene. Okay. Anytime bees are drawing out new foundation without honey supers on, I like to feed them just to assist them. Take 6 to 8 pounds of nectar consumed by the bees to make 1 pound of wax. So they have to turn that into wax. So that helps a lot. Yep. Hey, Rich Hargrove. David, when using a new foundation, can you over wax? Also, applying wax too early, good or bad? Does it lose potency? No, not really. I mean, obviously, if you leave it on there for 5 or 10 years, yeah, it's probably dry out and some other creatures will nibble on it. But no, it doesn't matter. And I have put it on too much before, like, whoops, that was way too much, but it still is beautiful. The bees have a way to engineer it beautifully. Yeah. I don't think you can overdo it. Hey, Brett, can I use a fume board in 40-degree weather to push bees down to move hives? The property is being sold. My hand is forced. Oh, you want to move them down maybe into a single box or something? 40 degrees. That's a good question. I don't see why not. It's not the best scenario, but it sounds like your back's against the wall and you got to do it, right? Smoke, fume board, see if you can move them. Yeah, I would give it a try. Yeah. Hey, Brandon, I have a single deep from last year that I left a honey super on for winter. They are huge. When can I add my second new deep with wax foundation on and the queen excluder and the super above that. Well, I don't know where you live, Brandon. You know, it depends on if you're still in a climate where it may be some cold weather or such. If they're going to cluster again and move around, you kind of hate to put queen excluders on when it's still a chance that the queen could be deserted. So be careful about that. But I would say you could do that anytime, really, that you feel safe. If it's warm enough, the bees are moving around. Yeah, I think so. I'm teaching on critical thinking day after tomorrow in Kentucky. And sometimes this critical thinking and beekeeping has to be applied to that last question. You just have to be very critical and kind of think, how does it all work? What will happen? What would work and what wouldn't work? Yeah. By the way, thank you guys for your donations tonight. I do see your donations coming in. I want you to know that if you don't want to leave a donation here on the YouTube live stream, you can always go to our website at honeybeesonline.com and you can leave a live stream donation there. It goes to help pay for our speakers that we have, like Dr. Peck a few weeks ago, and for giveaways. So that helps a lot. Rob says, microphone is too close. Okay, Rob said, got something to ask. I'll be getting my bees soon, and I do want to treat my bees, but should I wait till they get some build up and then treat them? I made a video today, Rob, about that. My answer to that is, personally, you can do what you want to. You know, it's your bees, it's your rules, and I'll support you and love you just the same. However, what I like to do, if it was me, I don't like to treat them right when I get them, because sometimes newbies will abscond and they'll leave. And I don't want to encourage them to do that. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll wait until they have eggs or larvae, and they're a little more glued down to the hive then. They want to take care of the larvae and the developing larvae, feed those. Yeah. You could wait a little bit. If you wait until they cap over and you're using OA, then it doesn't go below the caps. It takes longer to do that. Well, Danny, you've been a member on the YouTube channel for 8 months. Nashville and 100% winter survival. Oh, you've had a 100% winter survival, Nashville, Indiana. Active pollen coming in from maples, calm bees, 78 degrees here tomorrow. I'm resisting the urge to take a peek. You know, if it's 78, you can surely take a peek. Just don't kill your queen. Might be hard to find a queen this time of the year. Thank you guys for your donations. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, really nice. I probably shouldn't say this, but some of you give me donations or money at conferences for the live stream. And I appreciate that. It goes a long way. Yeah. Thank you. Eastern Tennessee. Let's see. Eastern. I grew up in Western Tennessee. This week, low 43 to 61, high 62 to 81. Next week, I get a weather report of Tennessee tonight, 37 to 48, 55 to 70. Raising drone brood. Wow. Bringing in pollen, feeding sugar water. Is it too cold for a demaree split on strong colonies? Lows 30. Yep, you're still too cold, in my opinion. You can do what you want to, but I don't like to get below 40, maybe 45. You know, in the summertime, we can have lows in the 45 degrees on a summer night in Illinois. Isn't that strange? Wow. Not that common, but it does happen. Hey, hello, Mark. Thank you for what you do. Always enjoy your training each week. Well, thank you for your donation tonight. Thank you. Appreciate it. I've got a Carniolan queen ordered from a place in California, splitting my one surviving Italian colony. And do you think this will be a beneficial change of a queen? I think queens are queens. I really do. Apis mellifera is Apis mellifera. Their heritage kind of isn't much different than if we met at a restaurant and had lunch together. No matter what our ancestors were, whatever country our ancestors came from, we wouldn't know and we would get along just fine. And there are different traits accordingly, but we live in America where our honeybees have been so muddled down. It's hard to keep tight genetics on haploid, diploidy genetics. So you're probably not going to see a difference. You might. I don't know. Thank you for your donation there. David, bees have gotten used to coming and going from the top entrance in the winter bee kind. Your feeder boards don't have that top entrance. Any reason why? Just noticed it today. Thanks for all you do. Yes, here's the reason why. Because in the wintertime, when you have the winter bee kind on there with that notch, bees are not foraging. It's too cold. So we can take that, we can have that up there and it doesn't bother anything. If you put that on there now with a feeder up there, other colonies would go in that hole and rob. We don't want to start robbing. We want them, all the bees to go in the bottom. Today, when I did that, I noticed that too. I have done this for 10 or 15 years, and I guarantee you within an hour or two or sunset, they will all figure out to go in the bottom. It's going to take them a week to stop trying to go in that hole that's not there. They are so programmed to go through that hole, but they'll figure it out. Yeah. Don't worry about it. I'm in Northern Arkansas feeding 1-to-1 now. Would you recommend opening the screen bottom board for extra ventilation? Also curious, is there a reason you don't make feeder boards or nukes? I think it wouldn't hurt a thing. Get a little more ventilation in there. Northern Arkansas. Not going to bother anything. I probably just need to talk to my team that makes those boards and just have them make them for nukes. That's all we have to do. Is I just have to tell them. And what happens is I hear you guys say that, and then I forget. I go inside, I eat supper, and it's out of my it's out of my mind. I've made my own sometimes for my nukes, so yeah. If I ordered 10 queens and wanted to hold back a couple, can I leave them in the shipping cage in the hive above a queen excluder? That's a very good question. You're wanting to bank some queens, are you? Well, going to be risky. There's enough, pheromones in there, and the nest pheromones are different than what the queen's holding, but they might eventually, all those the nest pheromones may get absorbed in that queen. It's not totally 100% doable, but there's a good chance they will, and it's a good chance they won't. I've had experiences go both ways. I'd just keep them in the house, and I would just care for them in the house. Give them a little dab of water, dab of honey once in a while. That's what I like to do. Yeah. We have a great crowd here tonight. Thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. We got another giveaway coming up for our first responders and vet that made application through a Beak Squad member that made a donation for 2 5-frame nucleuses. So that's cool. Each one gets 1 nuke. All right. I checked one hive and it was fully loaded with bees. I felt I should split. Should I just add a box? Well, Kimberly, adding a box does not keep them from wanting to reproduce. The reproduction urge in all animals is unbelievable. And so, yeah, adding a box, it could take some pressure off maybe, but no, it won't stop them from swarming. You're going to have to just be more aggressive and look for swarm cells, make a split, those sorts of things. Oh, thanks for your donation. I have a swarm trap. I'll wax the starter strip. Should I wax the inside walls of the box? I'm in Florida. I don't think I would. The bees like to propolize that. They don't really wax their walls. They propolize them. I don't think I would wax the walls. No, something weird may happen. I've never seen people wax the walls. Now you wax dip, but that gets so hot that it gets absorbed in the walls more than just putting raw wax on the walls. But do what you want to. Try one with the wax walls and one without the wax walls and give us a report. And I'll eat my hat that I was wrong. Oh, we have fun here on the live stream, don't we? Hi, David. I live in West Georgia. Georgia, you guys know Bob Beanie. He was out at Nevada speaking with us out there. Enjoyed him. I inspected my hives yesterday. Lots of capped drone brood hive. Oh, well, Georgia, yeah. Is packed out with bees and resources. 70 and 80s for the next week. Can I make splits now or wait? I think people in Georgia are making splits. I really do. Sounds like the temps are there. You got drones. They're going to be splitting anyway, aren't they? Drones are raised before the queens, but I'd probably make splits. Yeah, I think the time is right. Hi, Tina. From what you're saying earlier about making splits and taking the queen from the parent hive, you're saying you're in a favor of marking the queen? You are saying you are in favor of marking a queen? I hear so many conflicting opinions about marking the queen, but it seems to me that would make that much easier. Or am I misunderstanding all of the process? I want to try and do a split this spring if possible. Marking the queen is very important and it is very good. It does not hurt your queen if done correctly. I mark most of my queens because I can find them easier, reducing stress on the hive from the beekeeper keeping it open too long. Also, if you have a swarm, you can know if you still got your original queen. Also, for those of you that live in Africanized regions, you have to mark your queens because you don't want an Africanized queen to take over your hive. I don't know where you heard that the conflicting reports that maybe about marking the queen is bad. It's never bad, in my opinion. I mean, I always like marking the queen. Yeah. All right. Let's see. When preparing for spring, I found mold on inside of my boxes, which means there was excess moisture in there. Probably bugs me more than the bees. Burned the inside of boxes with a torch. Once air dried, any issues with the bees in terms of smell or the charcoal and stuff? No, we all like to what's it called? Scourge. I can't think of the word. Scourge the inside of our boxes, and I do that all the time. I've got videos of me doing it. Long ago when I was a younger beekeeper, that's what we did when we had wax only frames. But I don't know about the mold inside. That's usually mildew. Bees they're not bothered by that, by the way. It's not anything. I know it's bad for us to breathe black mold, but it's probably just mildew stains and it won't hurt a thing to leave it. I see that on some of my stuff too. I just leave it. Yeah. David, I have a nudie problem. I hope you mean a newbie problem. A newbie problem. My team is all laughing. A nudie problem. All my bees, absconded bees, are gone, but have 9 frames of honey. Can I harvest it or leave for next package of bees? Oh, sorry about the absconding. That's too bad. Yeah, that honey's fine. Use it. Use it to on your next package. That'd be fine. No problem. All right. More beetles on my screen here. Any ideas? Had to move hives 60 yards from small shelter hives, or a small shelter. Hives were kept closed for 48 hours and had obstructions in front of them. So they reorientated, but still good portion of the bees went back. So here's what happens there. Bees are really good about this. When they fly up in the air, they use landmarks. So even though you put something and they took a new flight or new orientation of where their hive is, as soon as they got airborne, they were like, wait a minute. I know that maple tree. I know that telephone pole. I know the top of that red roof. Now I know where my original hive is. Ha, ha, ha. That's kind of what they do. And so it's kind of hard to get some of them not to go back, okay? We're glad they can remember where their house is until we want them not to remember, and then we don't like it. We're so fickle. I had a hive die recently from nosema. Oh, but they left quite a dysentery mess on the hive frames and boxes. How can I best clean that up to safely reuse that equipment again? I don't like nosema spores. Nosema is a microsporidian. It's contagious that way. I personally, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I would probably get rid of all my frames that had that on there. I'd burn them. I'd start over. I'd probably torch the inside of my boxes as best as I could. Yeah. Did you have it tested for nosema, Serana, or did you have it really looked at, or were you just going by the dysentery? Sometimes bees just have dysentery and it's not nosema, but maybe you had it tested under a microscope where they count the spores. All right, one more question, and then we'll do a giveaway, and then time for more questions. Yeah. Would it be a good idea if you cage a frame with the queen on it after a split? Don't see why that would be necessary. If it's the queen that's originally with those frames, she's going to stay put on that. I don't see the benefit of that. Maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, they know the queen, that's her frames. She's not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. You're just going to limit how much she can lay because there's only so much she can do on a frame that's in that cage. Cage or frame. Okay. All right. Let's have our next giveaway for the first responder and veteran that made application to win a 5-frame nucleus from a generous Beak Squad donation. Let's see who the winner is for this one. Mixing them around. I pick up this piece of paper here. All right. The name of the winner of the 5-frame nuke is Ryan, and the last name starts with the letter E. Ryan E. So congratulations, Ryan and Dan. And I know Sherry will be contacting you and letting you know more details about the 5-frame nukes. These are Illinois 5-frame nukes that we raise here in Illinois over winter and everything. So they're really good nukes. We've done this for years, and we enjoy doing that. They're inspected by the state of Illinois Apiary team and given moving permits and inspection permits and all that. So good nukes. Yeah. All right. All right. What else you got on your mind, friends? What are the kind of questions that are burning a hole in your brain? How does oversplitting an overwintered hive affect the amount of honey you can harvest from them? Good question. Like that. Since the original hive and the splits will have to take time to resource to build up again, like drawing comb out. Yeah, if you do it at the right time, right, it doesn't affect much at all. Like for me, I pull 4 frames out of brood, usually a little bit of honey, and my goodness, within a month, all that's been replaced. And so it doesn't make any difference at all to that big mothership. It is a whopper hive. It will do great. Sometimes my splits will make a lot of honey too. It all depends though. Good question. It all depends on nectar, how much rain you get, and how many flying days they get to go out and forage. Yeah. Good question. Oh, I want to say one more thing about that. More important about how much honey they make is not so much you making splits, but how much you keep your mites under control. A hive that's really infested with mites doesn't make much honey. Yeah. David, based on your comment about splitting a strong colony, have you ever split a strong hive into more than 2 hives the first time? Or is it better to split into 2 and then split again later? Oh, the first time. No, I don't want, for some reason I don't want to do that because I'm doing it kind of early in the year, and if I do too much, and I sometimes have to put them back together. You know, like if I look and go, oh my gosh, it's going to be 15 degrees for the next week every night, the low temperature. I have to go back out there and put my splits back together. That's happened to me a couple of times. So if I make too many splits, I'll make more work for myself. So I kind of just gently tap the gas pedal to get the split made so it doesn't swarm, and then I can always make another one. That's my theory, but certainly you could go out there and make 2 right off the bat. In desperate times, when I'm short on bees for nukes, I have split a whole colony like 5 times, and the colony was no more. Dumb question, probably, but when you do a sugar roll for mites, do the spiracles get clogged? Now, that's a very good question. There has been studies done that shows, I will say a study was done recently that shows bees that are rolled in sugar for a mite test die shortly thereafter. That's what a research paper showed. And so, yeah, I suspect what you're saying, that rolling them in sugar like that, shaking them violently might be more of the case, what hurts them than but I think they can clear that out. Have you ever, now, I like to put cinnamon on my toast in the morning. I'll put cinnamon and a little bit of butter, honey. Oh, wait a minute. Butter, honey, cinnamon. And then sometimes I'll have that cinnamon on there and I'll hold it up to my mouth and I will accidentally kind of breathe in a little bit of that cinnamon. Wow. And I caught my, natural reflex is to cough. And I think bees have a way of clearing that out unless they're just really in it bad. Yeah. Does it hurt to go ahead and hang a swarm trap now? Southern Indiana? Absolutely not. Get that up there ASAP. Doesn't hurt a thing. Yeah. All right. I forgot that I had my sugar water on the stove. It came to a small rumble. Is that dangerous? It depends on how long. We worry about HMF, and that's when with humans or anybody, even old honey sitting around too long can get HMF in it. But if you left it on there for like 20 hours and it was at 400 degrees, I wouldn't give it to the bees, especially if it gets dark. But if it just kind of started to boil, it's probably going to be fine. Yeah. Hey, David, last year my bees swarmed. I was gardening. I saw them swarm above the garage and I went back in the hive. Did I luck up, or maybe they needed air? Oh, I see. I saw them swarm above the garage and then they went back into the hive. I got it now. Okay. Did I luck, or maybe they needed air? So there's a lot of reasons bees will swarm and then they'll go back to their hive. And sometimes I've seen that myself. Oh, there's another Asian beetle up by my camera. Sometimes there's one going that way. Are you guys having an infestation of Asian beetles like I have? Oh my gosh. So I think sometimes the queen doesn't quite go out with them and they start to go and they realize, hey, where's mama? I don't see our queen, and they just don't have any choice but to go back. Sometimes they will swarm with an after swarm with a virgin queen and do the same thing, and then they'll go back. But anyway, you got lucky either way. Yeah. All right. I'm in Central Florida, live in an urban community, so I don't have any place to move my bees to if I make a split. Can I still split them? Yeah. Split them, move them 5 feet, make them face a tree, put their entrance next to a house, building, tree, something big in front of it, and watch them. Usually that works really good. I made a video last spring of me doing that. It worked good. Hello from North Carolina. Do foragers and scout bees carry the same duties? Not really, no. Foragers are going back and forth for water, nectar, pollen, where scout bees are more or less trying to doing a recon mission is what it's called, reconnaissance. And they're trying to go out there. Now, they may bring samples back when they find something good, but no, they're different idea. They're all together. Yeah. David, I have 6 colonies and 6 different color hives. What do you think of marking each queen with the color of the hive instead of the year? So if they swarm, I can tell which it came from. If you don't care how old your queens are, I think it's a brilliant idea. That's why we use number codes on the thorax too. Yeah, if you don't care to know what year they are, go for it. That's a great idea. Yeah, I like that. I made a video for you guys years ago where I took a drone and I painted him red, white, and blue, drew a flag on his abdomen, thorax, and everything. I think I even drew some stuff on his wings. He was a hoot to watch him fly around. David, brand new beekeeper, don't have bees yet. Should I start with 2 hives, or is one okay plan to trying to catch swarm due to finances? Okay. Sure. Always work within your budget. Don't waste. Well, I don't mean waste, but don't overspend on bees. If don't take away from family needs to keep bees. My goodness. Yeah, start with 1. You'll be fine. Try to catch swarms. Let people know you're interested in swarms, and somebody will call you. Yeah, it's not cheap being a beekeeper. Thanks for your donation, Wayne. Oh, we met in Madison. Let's see, Madison. Oh, at the Bee Expo. All speakers were solid, but your personal stories really stood out. That vulnerability and passion built real trust. Hope others get a chance to experience you in person. Well, thank you. I'm humbled by that. My goodness. I'm a I love telling stories, and I love it when I listen to people that I can connect to through their personal stories. It brings me closer to them. So I enjoy that. Yeah. Thank you for your donation again there. I appreciate that. Wow, that's a big donation to help the live stream. Thank you. How far from your apiary do you need to place your swarm traps? Well, I don't know if it really matters. Sometimes they go by, a fence row or something. I've heard a lot of people say that, edge of a forest or something. I don't really, when my bees swarm, the bivouac, that was a word in the live stream a while back. The bivouac does kind of land close to the apiary, but their main home is further away. And I would rather catch them. I'd rather them make that their home than the bivouac. If you put it too close, they may just sit on the outside of it. So let's get a little further away. That's my thinking. That's my critical thinking skills at work. And I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Some people point that out to me with great joy. I say, I am new to beekeeping. I will be getting my bees in May. What are the chances I'll need to split this year? Also, what do I look for to know if I need to split them? West Virginia. Chances are yours will not split this year. They can, but a new hive generally spends so much time building up that they don't reproduce their first year. How can you tell? Look for swarm cells on the bottom of your frames. You might see little tiny swarm cells, not tiny, but the size of your pinky developing on the bottom. Just keep an eye on that. You should be fine, Brian. One more question. Time for one more, sneaking in at the last minute here. One more question. For me, as a beginner, is it best for a package or to get a nuke? I hear there's so many options to choose from. I really think both are fine. They are great. I think a package helps a new beginner really start at ground zero. You get to watch a queen come out of a cage. You get to watch them draw out of the foundation and all that. But you also run the risk of them all leaving, where a nuke, they don't leave, but they're already 4 frames and kind of a small hive. Thank you, EL, for your donation tonight. Well, friends, we have had a spectacular time together. Oh my gosh, I loved it. And, our team always meets after we hang up from you guys. And we always talk about how did it go? What kind of things happened? What was the chat like? And every time we have that little meeting afterward, a debriefing, my team always says, oh, they're so great. We have the best people, the most loyal, committed, nicest chat people ever. So thank you guys for being such great people here on the live stream. Thanks for being here. Remember, we're here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. So big shout out to Robbie and Sherry and Jessica for working tonight. They're the team that makes it all happen. And of course, Patrick will be using him out in the field soon to take those great videos that hopefully you'll enjoy so much. Another year of me making videos. So I want to tell you guys so much that I appreciate you to the moon and back. I love you. I appreciate helping you. My passion is not only bees, more so to help beekeepers keep healthier bees and make fewer mistakes. So I hope I'm helping you do that. Been great. I'll see you guys in the next video. Good night.